of an organization, how are you not close with the stars of the organization? And the dilemma right now in the WNBA is that the star players, the Asias, the Stewies, the Sabrinas, the Caitlin Clarks, they don't have a good enough relationship with the leader. The Nafisas, they don't have a good enough relationship with Cathy Engelbert. She came in and she wants all the credit for everything, but there's not enough communication between the leader and between the players. And now you got to revolt. Now everybody in the W is like, hold on, we want you up out of there. But I think the best thing I heard is, how can you negotiate if you don't communicate? And the dilemma is there's not even a negotiation, a quality negotiation right now between the players and between the W, because there's not quality communication right now between the players and between the executives for the W.
Okay, so Adam Silver actually did it. Fever fans have been screaming for this, and he finally listened. Cathy Engelbert, she's out. Yeah. The commissioner who thought Caitlin Clark owed her gratitude just got thrown out like old garbage. This is huge. Everything's different now, and the whole league is just buzzing. But before we dive into how big of a mess this was, I got to ask you, do you think they waited too long to fire her, or was it perfect timing?
You need to resign. Period. Reason I say that, Doggy, is because when a player, any player, but especially one of that magnitude, attacks you publicly like that, that weak-ass statement Commissioner Engelbert gave is not good enough. And I'm going to say it. It was a weak-ass statement. Could you imagine somebody directing comments and criticisms at you, taking conversations they've had with you directly and telling the world what you said? And did you see that statement Commissioner Engelbert gave? She basically provided no defense of herself. I don't have the statement directly in front of me, y'all.
Mischaracterization.
A mischaracterization.
She was disheartened.
I'm disheartened at the mischaracterization.
Right. You heard that. What? Cathy Engelbert is gone, fired, booted, kicked right out her chair, and into unemployment. And it's all because she just couldn't keep her mouth shut about Caitlin Clark.
Well, let me clarify first, because it's proxy season, right? No CEO do you just put the base pay in there. You put their bonus, you put their stock options, you put everything. Caitlin has the ability to make up to $500,000 just in WNBA wages this year. So, of course, they're just looking at a base which is collectively bargained. And actually, it's low because she's the number one pick. She'll make a little more than that. But she also has millions and millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually, because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value. She has a global platform now, not just a U.S. platform. So she's going to do just fine, as will the top players in the league, as every league does. Also, there's comparisons to the men. Those men's leagues are 75 to 120 years old. We're tipping off our 28th season. I would say if you looked at them 28 seasons in, we're further ahead. But I realize we still have a lot of work to do. And it's all...
Listen, this is the same commissioner who actually thought telling Clark to get on her knees and thank the league was a smart thing to say. The same one who let players like Alyssa Thomas just throw elbows, let the refs ignore obvious fouls, and then act surprised when fans got mad about what they were watching. But here's the thing, the NBA finally had enough. Adam Silver, the big boss, he stepped in and made the call. And yeah, it was way overdue. Think about it. When you have players like Nafi Sakir publicly ripping you, Sophie Cunningham calling you delusional, Lexi Hull joined the pushback, and a whole fan base threatening to stop watching, there's just no way you can hold on to that job. Let's take a quick look back.
Thank you all for your time today. I have prepared a statement that I would like to make before taking any questions. All right. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate the Mercury for advancing to the finals. And I want to be clear, this conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. The real threat to our league isn't money. It isn't ratings or even missed calls or even physical play. It's the lack of accountability from the league office. Since I've been in the league, you've heard the constant concerns about officiating, and it has now reached levels of inconsistency that plague our sport and undermine.
Remember the comments that really lit the fuse on all of this? Nafi Sakir in her exit interview just absolutely ripped into Engelbert. She said the WNBA's leadership is the worst in professional sports. She said Engelbert just brushes off injuries, ignores what players say, and act like everything's perfectly fine, even when the refereeing is a complete joke. But then, man, here's the real kicker. Engelbert told her that Caitlin Clark should be grateful the WNBA exists because, get this, without it, she'd have nothing. Wow.
At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Cathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. And in that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. That's a mentality driving our league from the top. We go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't value us. The league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them.
Really, Cathy? Is that what you think? Caitlin Clark was selling out college arenas before she even thought about the WNBA. She had massive sponsorships locked down way before she left Iowa. And she pulled in more viewers for a single college game than some WNBA playoff games have ever seen. And your brilliant idea is to tell her she should be grateful. That's like telling Taylor Swift she should thank a karaoke bar for letting her sing. It's just ridiculous.
She's got a $16 million deal because of the platform the WNBA gave her. It is the single dumbest thing ever said by a sports commissioner in American sports.
But here's the thing. In Engelbert's arrogance, that's what made Adam Silver's decision unavoidable. Caitlin Clark, she basically saved the WNBA, right? She brought in huge attendance numbers, boosted ratings, landed new sponsorships, and got those big media deals. She brought a ton of new fans, droves of them, and instead of protecting her, instead of making her the absolute centerpiece, Engelbert just let her get hacked game after game. Then she started finding anyone who dared complain about the officiating. Even Fever head coach Stephanie White got hit with a fine just for agreeing with Cheryl Reeve. That's how crazy it got. Coaches couldn't speak the truth. Players couldn't speak the truth. And fans who dared point out the mess were labeled toxic. So Adam Silver stepped in, and let me tell you, this isn't just about Clark. This is about the entire league spiraling, because Engelbert couldn't connect with players. She couldn't manage the referees, and she just kept treating the WNBA like some corporate boardroom. Now, let's talk about those refs for a second. Fans have been screaming all season about how inconsistent they are. Players have been yelling about the physicality. And what did Engelbert say? We have the best refs in the world. Seriously, the best in the world. These are the same refs who couldn't call a flagrant foul if someone got Boda slammed to the scorer's table. Even Becky Hammond said it. If the NBA had this level of chaos, players would be throwing punches every single night. But in the W, it just slides because apparently drama is good for the league. Yeah, drama is great until your biggest star is lying on the floor holding her ribs while your ratings tank. Drama is great until players like Kier are out with ankle injury. Drama is great until fans say, I'm done, and they stop showing up. And guess what? That's exactly what started to happen. Ratings dipped. Attendance outside of Fever games stayed flat. Fans stopped tuning into non-Clark matchups, and Engelbert just kept pretending everything was fine. That's why Silver had to pull the trigger, because the WNBA was handed a golden goose in Clark. And instead of protecting it, Engelbert practically roasted it over an open fire. What about the timing? Some people might say Silver waited too long. Others will say he moved fast. Look, I'd say he moved right when the league was about to completely implode. You can't have multiple players going viral, just blasting your commissioner. You can't have your MVPs and all-stars calling leadership negligent. And you absolutely cannot have Caitlin Clark fans threatening to stop watching. This firing is as much about saving the WNBA as it is about punishing Engelbert. Because let's be real, the NBA doesn't want to admit it. But Clark, she is their cash C. She's the whole reason networks agreed to that massive media rights deal. She's a reason advertisers suddenly care. She's a reason seats are actually full. Without her, the WNBA is basically back to begging ESPN2 for a Tuesday night slot. And Engelbert had the nerve to belittle her. That's why she's out of a job. But let's not give Silver too much credit. He didn't just suddenly wake up and realize Engelbert was bad at this. Players and fans have been screaming about it for months. No, this firing happened because the money was at risk. The NBA could see sponsorship slipping away, fans threatening boycotts, and rival leagues like Unrivaled gaining serious traction. If Clark had ever said, "You know what? I'm done with this league," it would have been a death blow. Silver just couldn't let it get that far. So Cathy's gone. And now the big question is who replaces her. This is where things get really tricky. The league doesn't just need a business mind, you know? It needs someone who actually understands basketball, someone who understands players, and someone who can build real relationship. Because the next commissioner can't just be about cutting big media deals. They need to restore trust. They need to make players feel valued, not ignored. They need to make fans feel respected, not just dismissed. And honestly, that's a huge ask because Engelbert left behind a massive me. You got angry players, totally disillusioned fans, refs with zero accountability, and a league office that's more interested in PR spin than actually facing reality. Whoever steps in next is going to have to start by cleaning up that officiate Beck. Alls until that's fixed, literally nothing else matters. Now, let's circle back to Caitlin Clark again, because make no mistake, this firing is all about her. She is the eye of the storm. How she was treated on the court, how she was dismissed off it, and her absolutely massive importance to the league. Those are the exact reasons Silver finally acted. And here's the irony. Engelbert thought Clark needed the WNBA more than the WNBA needed her. Turns out it was the complete opposite. The league desperately needed Clark, and now it needs to prove it actually values her before she decides she's better off somewhere else. So where does this all leave us? A commissioner fired right in the middle of a huge scandal. A fan base that's fuming, but also maybe a little hopeful. A league that's desperate to save its reputation. And a superstar in Caitlin Clark, who for the first time all season might actually feel like the adult in the room are finally taking her seriously. But don't think this fixes everything. Firing Engelbert, that's just step one. There's still a mountain of problems: the officiating, the inconsistent discipline, the terrible communication with players, and that whole culture fines instead of accountability. The new commissioner has to flip that script, and they have to do it fast. And one last thing before we move on. Did you notice how fast Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall jumped in to back up Collier? That wasn't just random, guys. That was a coordinated revolt. The players smelled weakness at the top, and they just pounced. And honestly, good for them, because without that pressure, without that public firestorm, Silver might have just let Engelbert limp along. Instead, she's out, and the WNBA just changed forever. So here's where things really get interesting. Cathy Engelbert is gone. But the fallout, let's be super clear. Adam Silver didn't fire her because he suddenly started caring about players. He fired her because she completely embarrassed the league. When you got Nafisa Collier, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexi Hall all going viral for blasting the commissioner, that's a problem you absolutely cannot PR your way out of. Silver had to protect the NBA's investment. Remember, this isn't just about women's basketball. The WNBA's media rights are directly tied to the NBA. Silver had networks lined up for billion-dollar deals. And when Engelbert made those totally Tony comments about Clark being grateful, she put the NBA's leverage at serious risk. You just don't mess with the golden goo. Now, let's talk about Clark again, because everything just revolves around her. This is a player in her second year as a pro, not a rookie anymore. She's already carried the fever to relevance. She's already broken ratings record. She's already the face of the league, whether some other players like it or not. And what did Engelbert do? She dismissed her impact. She dismissed her injuries, and she treated her like some pawn in her little sustainability game. That's not leadership. That's pure Sabo. And Collier exposed it perfectly. She literally told us, said only losers complain about the refs. So all the Fever fans complaining losers. Coaches like Stephanie White, who wanted consistency. Losers. Players getting hacked every single night. Losers. That was Engelbert's mindset. And then she doubled down by saying Clark's endorsements only exist because of the WNBA. Give me a break. Clark had national sponsors before she ever stepped foot on a WNBA court. She was the most marketable college athlete since Zion Williamson. She sold out arenas coast to company. The league needed her, not the other way around. And that arrogance, that complete inability to see reality, that's why she's unemployed today. Here's where Adam Silver actually played it smart. He didn't just let Angel Burt step down quietly. He fired. He made it crystal clear that the NBA had lost confidence in her leadership. That's really important because it sends a massive message to players. The league office isn't untouchable anymore. You speak up, you can actually make change. Collier proved it. Sophie proved it. Lexi proved it. The pressure totally worked. But let's not kid ourselves. The problems aren't solved because the WNBA still has a massive officiating issue. Fans aren't blind. Come on. They see the inconsistent whistles, the clear favoritism, the targeting, and just firing Angel Burt doesn't magically fix that. The new commissioner absolutely has to step in and overhaul the entire system. We're talking full-time referees, real accountability, total transparent. Otherwise, nothing really changes. And let's be honest, the refs have become the biggest story of the season. More than Clark's scoring, more than Boston's dominance, more than Reese's drama. Every single week, fans are talking about blown calls, unfair rejections, and questionable suspension. That tells you everything you need to know about how bad the product got under Angel Burt. Now, let's zoom out a bit. The WNBA had a golden moment handed to them. You had Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Aaliyah Boston, Paige Becker's coming soon. The spotlight was finally here. And instead of building on it, Angel Burt fumbled it. Ratings are dipping outside of Clark games. Players are totally frustrated. Fans are angry. In rival leagues like Unrivaled, they smell blood in the water. And Silver knew it. That's why he moved right now. Because if Clark ever said, "I'm done," if she ever bolted for Unrivaled, it's over. Imagine 1 million viewers tuning in to watch her outside the WNBA. The NBA simply couldn't let that happen. So, Angel Burt is gone. And now everyone's asking who comes.